You're listening to the Creepy Kingdom Podcast Network,
covering and creating all things creepy.
Visit creepykingdom.com to get access to all of our articles, videos, and podcasts. Join our Patreon for exclusive content. Patreon.com/creepykingdom. Well, look what we have here. Creepy Kingdom proudly presents Wicked Wizardry.
Hey everyone, welcome to Creepy Kingdom's brand new episode celebrating our year of Wicked Wizardry. This podcast is going to be everything Harry Potter.
Wait. Hold on. What are you doing? You're not the host of this show.
I'm introducing our new show.
But you're not the host.
Well, but all right, fine. I suppose we could let the host introduce the new show.
I mean, that's usually what hosts do.
Fine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the host of Creepy Kingdom's newest podcast, Wicked Wizardry, Tanitia Burks.
Woo!
Hello. Hi, how's it going? I am Tanisha, and I am going to be your host for Wicked Wizardry, our newest show on Creepy Kingdom, because if you don't know, now you know. I am a huge Harry Potter nerd, so...
I was wondering...
And a Slytherin, just FYI.
He's way more qualified to host this show than I am, so it's probably good thinking there.
Yes, Tanisha is extremely qualified to host Creepy Kingdom's first podcast dedicated to the dark side of the wizarding world of Harry Potter for many reasons, one of which, why don't you talk about your little crew there, the Wands Up.
My crew. So for people who don't know, I'm based out of San Diego, and in San Diego, I am an organizer for a group called Wands Up San Diego. And it's basically a social club for hardcore Harry Potter fans. So obviously we do all things Harry Potter related in San Diego. We have a birthday party for Harry Potter every year. We have a Yule Ball. We had a Malfoy Manor goth tea this year. That was a lot of fun. So we do a lot of really cool events with our crew. So if you're in San Diego ever and you want to do Harry Potter stuff, hit me up. Let me know.
I'd like to go to San Diego and do Harry Potter stuff.
Come on down.
That sounds awesome.
The next time we have like a goth tea or something, I'll have to invite you guys. You guys will have to come out for that.
God, that'd be so cool.
Sounds lovely. But yeah. I'm very excited.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I'm talking over you, Roxy. Go ahead. Please.
Sorry, I was going to say, Tanisha is our end-all, be-all, as far as we're concerned, expert. Anytime we have Harry Potter questions, we ask her. Anytime we need to know Harry Potter stuff, we ask her. And every time something cool Harry Potter comes out and we decide to tell her, she already knows about it.
That's right.
Typically.
I'd be impressed if you find something Harry Potter related that I am not already aware of or is not already on my radar. But
right?
Yeah.
All right. I'll find something. That
will be your challenge that I will put out to you if you can find something that I am not already aware of or don't know about that's going on in the Harry Potter sphere. I would be
James
very
is going to pull this podcast over right now and find something.
He's Googling as we speak.
No, I'm trying. I'm not even Googling. I'm literally I feel like there's something. I'm just gonna let it simmer here, and maybe I'll just drop the bomb at the end of the episode. So why don't you, since you're the host, and just for anyone else that's may have listened or checked out other Creepy Kingdom stuff, you're also the host of our Creepy Kingdom book club.
That's right.
Which we do live streams for.
Bookworms Unite. Yeah. And then we're hopefully going to be doing a deep dive on the Harry Potter series since it is our year of Wicked Wizardry. So
we can put the two things together.
Wow.
Yes.
Maybe I'll actually end up reading one of the books in our book club.
There you go. If you don't have the audiobooks are also great. So if you don't want to read through it, Jim Dale's audiobooks of Harry Potter are excellent. So
those are not available on Audible though, right?
They are, yeah. Jim Dale's version of the audiobooks are on Audible.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, if I'm gonna do the Harry Potter audiobook, I want it to be read by Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry's good. I like Jim Dale. He does all the different character voices and stuff, so it's super cool.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I like his rendition a little bit better than Stephen Fry's, just a little bit. But yeah.
All right.
Very cool. Well, I guess we should probably. I'm not trying to host the show here, but we should probably. I'm just naturally.
If you want me to get us kicked off. So basically, like, obviously in this first episode, as we move on, in future episodes, the plan is to do deep dives on different characters or specific topics that are within the wizarding world. But we're starting today with just sort of introducing the channel and then talking a little bit, I think, about the Harry Potter fandom, and what I think brought us to the wizarding world or the world of Harry Potter. So, like, what got you guys here?
What brought us to this point?
Yes, what got us to this moment of us being on this podcast discussing Harry Potter?
Mine is super easy answer. James.
Go.
James, that's the end.
James, that's my answer.
Yes.
My whole.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. This was a great episode.
So, I am a latecomer to Harry Potter. I had never read them or watched them or anything like that. And James kept bothering me and telling me you can actually go back to old Creepy Kingdom episodes where he tells me that I really need to check out Harry Potter. And I was like, yeah, well, sure, eventually. And then I finally did. And you know what? James was right.
Wow. I'm glad we got that one recorded. James was right.
He's gonna cut that little piece and just like create a button so he can play that.
That's gonna be your ringtone.
Great.
Oh wow.
But no, that's pretty simple. It was actually 4 years ago.
Yeah, 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I decided to read the books and watch the movies all at the same time. So I'd like read a book and then watch the movie and then read the next book and watch the movie, and I did it all in a month and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, so that she had a pretty unique experience there. Didn't have to wait years for the story to unfold.
I know, I was about to say you were spoiled because the rest of us had to wait for the next book to come out anxiously.
Yeah, that really messed up, you guys.
Yeah,
like, I don't understand how you did that. That's really messed up. I got done and I was like, okay, let's start again. I immediately went on and started reading fan fiction. Okay, like
more of the story. I do have to say too, I loved a little plug for Roxy's World podcast. I loved listening to the episode where you were like sharing your initial reactions, because I think you were only like 2 or 3 books in or something, and you were sharing like your initial reactions. That was so great. I loved listening to Roxy kind of be like, what is going on? And what is this? And what is happening? And all her questions. And literally I found myself like shouting back at the podcast and being like, this is what this is. What's that? This is, just wait for that. That's gonna pan out. Just like, hold on. It was so great.
I'm gonna listen to that again.
That might be fun to go back and listen to. Because you're like, what?
It was awesome.
Again, in honor of our year of Wicked Wizardry, not only am I going to listen to it again, but I'll probably repost it and tell everybody about it.
Actually, I realized, just in case people just checking the podcast, we didn't explain what the year of Wicked Wizardry is. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but let's kind of riff on that before I answer your question, which I have a long answer for.
It was nice and short.
And I will, and I'll stop trying to like co-host here, but I'm just, it's in my blood.
So who wants to explain the year of Wicked Wizardry?
Wicked
Seriously.
Wizardry.
The year of Wicked Wizardry.
Well, I'll let
Dude,
Tanitia do it. She's a host. Yeah, I'm not.
So essentially what has happened is James and Roxy love me so much that they decided to dedicate an entire year to the dark side of the wizarding world of Harry Potter. And so on all of our platforms, we're going to be covering all things wicked and dark arts about Harry Potter. So we'll be doing deep dives on some pretty dark, villainous, maybe not so villainous characters. We're going to be diving into book club and reviewing the Harry Potter books again and talking about those again. We're going to be posting on social media, on our Instagram, all kinds of cool content, memes, cosplay, you name it, that all revolve around the wizarding world. So my nerd heart is super happy and super excited. And hopefully everybody else is excited. And if you're not, then you're probably in the wrong place. But
I'm really excited to get submerged into it again because I read it and I watched the movies and then life went on and that was just kind of it. And then I moved down here and got to go to Universal Studios and now we're doing this. And so I've rewatched the first 5 movies again and made sure that the books were on my tablet. And so I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I mean, I think one of the reasons that we thought of doing this as our theme, because every year we try to pick a theme at Creepy Kingdom. Last year was Tim Burton.
Every year we kind of fail.
But not this year. We've launched a podcast. So we're going hard with the Wicked Wizardry. We're committed. And it's also, this is kind of like go ahead.
I was going to say this year we have something we didn't have the previous years, though, that I think is really, really going to help this one stay strong. Other than the new podcast and whatnot.
What do we have?
We have Tanisha.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
that's right.
Yeah, we have Tanisha.
Right.
So we have another person, but more importantly, we have a person who is so passionate about this topic that she's not going to let us fall off about it.
Oh no.
No,
I'm gonna be all up on
it. All about it. Also, I think as far as Potter fandom, this is kind of a quiet year, right? I don't think there's anything really dropping in 2020 that I can think of.
Not to my knowledge. If you knew something, that would be something you would know that I didn't know.
I don't know anything. So I thought it'd be a fun year for us to.
I know some off-record stuff, but not some on-record.
No, I mean there's last year we had the long name that I'm drawing a blank on, Hagrid's Magical Motorbike Adventure Fun Times Around the Corner Ride open up. So that was pretty
big. Fun Times with Hagrid.
That was pretty big news. I think, and I don't know if it debuted last year or not, but we had Cursed Child come to the United States of America. I don't know if last year was the first year.
Might have been 2018, if I remember correctly. That it was in New York, but it came to San Francisco.
There we go.
In 2019.
Last
so it came to the West Coast.
So
which I'm also going to next month. Or not next month. Sorry. In a week and a half, I'm going to be seeing Cursed Child in San Francisco. So I'm super stoked.
Oh, boy.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And no, go ahead, James.
I was going to say, the year before that, we had last year we had a Fantastic Beasts movie, too. So I think this is kind of like a lull, and I thought it was like a good chance for us to keep the excitement going for all of us, magical fans. So that's why I was like, yeah, let's do it. We're claiming it. It's the year of Wicked Wizardry.
That's right.
We're all in.
Also, even in a slow year or a dead year or whatever, the Harry Potter fandom is just so, magical, but active. It doesn't matter what's going on. They're super active. Because I'm on Reddit and I'm on a few boards and whatnot, and I am on boards about things that are on TV right now or in theaters or whatnot. But the Harry Potter Reddit board is the most active one.
Right?
And there's nothing going on. So the Harry Potter fans are just awesome.
Typically.
It's a pretty dope community.
No, I'm just messing around. All right.
Look, every fandom has asshats, okay?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. That is not unique to the Potterverse, the Potter fandom at all.
All right. So I'm ready to answer your question.
All right, James. Tell me what is your Potter story? How did you come to the Potter fandom?
All right, I'm going to preface this by saying something that's going to upset a lot of fans of literature.
Oh.
Is that I don't like to read fiction. I like to read nonfiction. I prefer my fiction to be delivered to me via film. That's just a personal preference. So my introduction into the Wizarding World was through films first, and but the only fiction that I've read in probably the past 15, 20 years has been Harry Potter. But it was only after watching the movies, which I found to be a really fun experience because the movies are kind of like Cliff Notes, and the book just expands on it so much. So I got the viewpoint of reading the books, but hearing the voices of the actors while I was reading them, as opposed to reading the book first, developing my own voices, and then being like, well, that doesn't sound like the way they did in my head. Which happens anytime I read a book before I watch a movie. It never lives up to it. And I feel like I would have been super bummed out if I read the books first and then watched the movie. Particularly my favorite, or my second favorite, really, Goblet of Fire, because the movie, which is my favorite, second favorite. My favorite is Deathly Hallows Part 2, but is so much is condensed in the beginning of the movie that is so awesome in the book that you're just like, I'm like, what are you doing here? You're ripping me off. Like, when I started reading the books and found out how much detail was left out of the movies, my first thought was, this should have been a series, like a television series. This shouldn't have been movies. Each chapter is an episode. Like, it's all laid out for you.
So, funny enough, because I read the books and watched the movies at the same time, I have memories from the movies that it turns out aren't in the movies.
Really?
Like, there are things that only happened in the books that in my head I can see it happening in the movie. But then when I went back last month and started rewatching the movies, there were big chunks missing from the story that I swore were in the movie. But I guess because I did it so close, it was just. But I was really, really surprised by how much was missing. Like, I didn't realize was missing from the movies.
It's interesting that you all kind of just melded together in your head.
Yeah.
But so
Peeves wasn't in the movies.
What?
Peeves.
No,
No.
Peeves got totally cut out. I think he had a brief cameo in the first movie where he was kind of like flying over and messing with the food, but that was the only time we ever got to see him in the whole film series. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
None. I just assumed he was in.
Yeah, should have been a series.
Listen, it still can happen. Okay, they're coming out with the Lord of the Rings series.
I think it should happen, and people would say it's too soon. And I think this is a great time for an animated series, actually.
Oh,
but for adults, not but still, like, I don't mean like hokey. I mean I could just
Clone Wars, right? Or yeah.
Well, I mean, Clone Wars is kind of for kids and adults. I mean something like just dark, like Spawn or something. I don't know, like in style. I mean, not. Anyways, but so I remember going to see the first movie, and obviously at that point, Harry Potter had been a thing, and I was kind of like, yeah, I don't really know about this. Maybe I'm too old for this, or I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to like this. And I just remember thinking, I don't really buy, that wizards are, around. I just was, against the premise. And I remember going to the movies, watching the first movie, and, literally, I'll never forget this moment. As soon as all the Hogwarts letters started, just bombarding through the Dursleys' front door, I was totally in.
That was it. That's all it took.
That's what it took. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is like happening like now, but it's secret. No, like, I'm like, oh my, like magic, that explains all those weird things that happen that nobody can, explain for. And just, and the reality of like saying like, this is really happening, but like, you don't know it's there. Like just that premise hooked me in, like, and and obviously it was real. It just really, especially the first two movies, which, which are like they just kind of remind me of like 80s movies. They're definitely not the best movies compared to by the time we get to Azkaban, we're like, oh, this is like super awesome. Like the first two movies, you're like, oh, this is fun. It kind of is like watching Goonies again or something, But when Azkaban comes around, you're like, oh, this is like actually for me. I'm not like sneaking into a kid's movie anymore. Like,
creeper.
Because that's kind of what I felt watching the first two movies. I was like, this is actually really dark and messed up, and it's super awesome. I love it. So,
I think that speaks to because it was a different director those first two movies, and then they changed directors each film after that. So I really think the new director on the third movie like took an awesome.
Yeah, he took a great turn.
Great turn. Yeah,
the last bunch of them were directed by the same guy, who has also directed the Fantastic Beasts films. Yeah. Which is why it all feels the same for a while now. I think David Yates, I think he came on Half-Blood Prince, if I'm not mistaken.
Or Order.
Was it Order? It might have even been Order of the Phoenix. Yeah.
Might have been. I think it was Order, because I think he did like the last 4 movies or something.
Yeah. But I remember, so I was into it. I was having a fun time, but really Goblet of Fire, like that movie just absolutely blew me away. Like I love so many things in that movie. Like it was just like, I can't even get into it. But so really from that point on, I would say, I'm like, I think I actually started reading the books after I saw Goblet of Fire, because at that point I was just watching the movies as a casual fan. But that's when I started. That's when I wanted more. But I held out to the very end. I mean, how many years between Deathly Hallows book and the movie? I think it was like 4 years, wasn't it?
The last book came out in
it was 2007.
5?
That was 2007.
Was it 07?
Yeah, I was working at a Barnes & Noble at the time, so I
okay.
I recall it clearly.
Okay, and I know the last movie came out in like 2011, so there was
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I legitimately.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I legitimately did not read the books until after I saw the movies. I wanted to experience the movies first, so I held out the whole time.
Wow.
So that's 4 years. Wow.
I feel like you guys were like punished, impoverished kids or something. Like that's messed up.
Well, I mean, it was like that was a big summer 2007 because Deathly Hallows came out, but that's also when Order of the Phoenix came out. Like they pretty much came out like right at the same time.
Right. Yep.
So I think that was the only time that happened. So that was a big Harry Potter fan time for sure.
Yeah, I remember that year. That was a good year.
That's also when they announced that they're building the Wizarding World of Harry Potter that same exact month. This is when they announced they were building the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Universal Orlando. So that was like, there's going to be a Harry Potter theme park?
Oh, yeah. And then I was depressed instantly when I found out it was going to be in Orlando and nowhere within reach for me at that time. So,
well, I lived in New Jersey, so it was
yeah. You lucked out.
Well, I don't know, lucked out. I actually didn't get to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter until 2013, so I had to wait 3 years after it opened and avoided spoilers on one of the most amazing attractions of all time. which I was able to do. I don't think I could. And when I was done with that one, I'm like, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that again. Avoid spoilers on a ride for 3 years. I'm trying my hardest to avoid spoilers on Rise of the Resistance. It's been 2 months, and they're just keep coming at me.
I did it with Transformers. Managed to avoid all spoilers.
What spoilers are in Transformers?
I don't know, but I knew nothing about it when I got on it.
All right, I'll give you that. I mean, I guess there's spoilers if. But here's a spoiler for the end of Transformers. Megatron is at the end.
What? How could you ruin this for me? I still have yet to go on Transformers.
Anyways,
in my years of being a annual pass holder at Universal.
Are you seriously haven't been on Transformers? Is that what
No, I have.
Oh, I was like, right. Anyways, I think it's a really fun ride. Anyways, so I know, as other people from other shows may know, this whole Creepy Kingdom thing, I'm obviously a huge theme park fan, and you know when Hogsmeade opened, and that was like really game changing for me. Really increased my love of Harry Potter, which was pretty much at a pretty strong point already. But I'd say the top of the hat really there it was in 2014. When Diagon Alley opened, and I walked in there and I was just completely encompassed by this space that I was like for the first time, really, I felt like I was inside of the Wizarding World. Hogsmeade, yeah, I mean, it's obviously there, but you still know you're in a theme park. But something about Diagon Alley, like just coming all around you. And really, it's
one day I'm going to go there.
Yeah, well,
you should. You absolutely
we're going.
should. It's amazing. Awesome.
Creepy Tour is coming back, 2020. Right. So, anyways, I as a huge theme park fan, just to conclude all this, being able to go inside of the Wizarding World, particularly Nocturne Alley, one of the only, might possibly the only, I'm not sure, but the only theme park land dedicated to the villains of an IP. I might be mistaken, but I can't think of any other theme park land.
We wish there were more.
I know. Looking at you, Disney. Looking at you.
But I mean, either way, I love it. Obviously, Borgin and Burks. I love going in there. I love that store. It's unfortunate most of the things in there are not for sale. Literally. But
so they have that at Hollywood too. Can you just not go in there? Is it just a storefront?
There's no Borgin and Burks in Hollywood because Borgin and Burks is only in Nocturne Alley, which is only in Diagon Alley.
What do you think?
Oh, that's right. And and the one in Hollywood is Hogsmeade.
Yeah, Hogsmeade only for now. Hopefully Universal will figure something out, but
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, again, this could be a whole podcast, but since we're on the topic here, I remember when Wizarding World Hollywood opened, and I remember leading up to it, I was like, oh, I'm so excited to have this here. Because that was 2016. At that point, Diagon Alley had already opened, and Hogsmeade had been open for 6 years. And then I went there, and then I was like, wow, this is literally exactly the same thing that's in Orlando.
Yep.
Except now I could see an office building in the background.
How magical!
I was a little disappointed. I was just like, I really wish that they built something else in the Wizarding World. But I know that at the end of the day, they could not have Hogwarts. I mean,
oh no, I would have been very upset as somebody who was not in a financial situation to get myself to the East Coast if they would have not had Hogwarts here within my reach.
I know yours was Roxy because you haven't gone to Orlando yet. But was your first Wizarding World trip at Hollywood, Tanisha?
Yeah, I went less than a month after it opened at Hollywood.
Oh wow! So
yeah.
So I guess I had that other perspective of I remember like leading up to it, like just, I mean, and I still love going there, and I don't take it for granted. And I, obviously, even though I love Diagon Alley so much, but just to, be able to go and just have a little taste of it is still a lot of fun. But I just remember.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say I can't imagine not having Hogwarts there. Like,
No.
yeah, the first time I ever saw it, Wizarding World was closed, so all I got to see was the very top of the, spires or whatever. But the first time I was able to go in there, it was Christmas and it was sunset, and so the first time I walked up and saw Hogwarts was at sunset, and it was magical. And then they did the Christmas light show thing on it, and that was my first experience. And I cannot even imagine not having Hogwarts there.
You know what it is? I know it. It's kind of like whatever first Disney park you go to, like that's like where
you're most magical,
where the characters actually live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going to Orlando, like the Hogsmeade for the first time, you're like, wow, I'm literally going to Hogwarts right now. Like I'm walking through this queue. Like this is the only place on earth where this is, right? Where I'm experiencing this. And then they literally copied it like exactly across the country. So it's hard when you've already seen it, when you're like, well, this isn't this place. That's over there.
Makes sense.
Totally understandable. Yeah.
One of the reasons they did two different castles,
Right.
Like, because
Disney
if you
castles,
saw
not Hogwarts.
not Hogwarts. Sorry, in Disney. Because if you saw Sleeping Beauty's castle, it's different. So they wanted to give you a different experience. But with Hogwarts, that's just like,
you can't change Hogwarts.
Yeah, it's so iconic that.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I've heard. Hollywood is really pressed for land. I remember hearing a rumor. This is a few years back, shortly after Hogsmeade opened, the idea of putting Diagon Alley in a sound stage at Universal Hollywood, but I don't really know how they were going to pull off the Hogwarts Express experience.
I don't know. Yeah, that would be. It would just be a very steep train,
right?
I don't know.
So I don't think
everything's sliding.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But anyways, and so that's, I think that brings us up to speed. I was very excited when it was announced that they were making the Fantastic Beasts series. And one of the reasons I was excited was because J.K. was writing them, but it was going to be presented in film first. I guess I don't know if there's novelizations of the films or not, but
no, there's not.
I don't think so. But it was that.
I wish there were, but yeah.
But and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is how I experience this stuff, and now I'm going to go see this movie, and no one's going to know anything that I don't know, because that's pretty much I wanted every movie. Plus, I've been friends, with lots of Potter nerds throughout my life too, so they're always like, the movie didn't do this, the movie didn't do that, after every movie. So I was always, and it's like, well, the first time we're on the same page. That being said, I feel like J.K. might be currently suffering from a little of George Lucas syndrome.
Yes.
Where I become so powerful that you don't have to answer to anyone at all, ever.
Yeah. You know what I appreciate about the fandom, though, about the Harry Potter fandom, is that with the controversy surrounding J.K. right now and the stuff that's going on, that they are completely able to separate, work from artist or art from artist.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. Because it's already out there, It's not like, oh, I'm not going to see this Harry Potter movie, so she's not going to get paid. No, it's out there, It's done. Like the art should not suffer because of the artist.
Well, that's a very loaded topic, but I will say that when it comes to this IP, this fandom, it's so rich and detailed that it's really hard to dismiss it all once you're in it. Like it's not like just I'm just not going to watch that movie, or I'm like it's like
right.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
like
pretty
it
much.
Sounds crazy, but like when you're part of the Harry Potter fandom, like your house, you wear clothes according to your house, you decorate your home according to your house. For those listening, I'm saying this as I'm cuddling my Slytherin pillow on my couch in my living room, looking at my Slytherin art on the wall. This fandom goes deep, and I think that's one of the things I love the most about Harry Potter is just the community and the fandom of it. But
I mean, that's what's really. I mean, what's fun about this is that the whole premise is this secret society that's like, living all around us, that we're just like, I want to be a part of it. And the fandom, like, kind of makes that happen, right?
Yep.
I guess that's what fandoms do, but I really feel like, I mean, the only thing that really rivals it is Star Wars fandom, to bring up the George Lucas thing again, and also the theme park wars as well. As a theme park fan, I no matter what happens with anything, whatever what roads JK goes down, no matter if an upcoming Fantastic Beasts movies are super awesome or they're totally lame or just okay or or whatever, I could single-handedly thank her for changing the theme park industry forever, because it is only because she demanded the Wizarding World to be exactly how she wanted it is why the theme park wars are at an all-time high now. Before that, it wasn't happening. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't a war. There was no competition.
There was no competition. There wasn't a war, and not only that, both companies were really phoning it in pre-Wizarding World for a while. Like. Even Disney, I mean, even that time. I mean, what? I don't know. I can't even think of anything like even close to Wizarding World. But that's a whole other story, because Disney had the chance to have Wizarding World in their park, and they blew it. So that
I was going to say, I feel another podcast episode coming on where we talk just about the history of a theme park.
Yeah, because I got it all. I love all this stuff. I go deep into it, and I find it very interesting that Disney had the chance. They blew the chance to do the films because they didn't bid high enough, which is interesting because they wanted to do the films first. And then they blew the chance for the theme park rights. And then they spent billions of dollars trying to rival Universal, which they never thought they would try to do. Which, again, really interesting stuff. But anyways, that's my fandom. And, I love Bellatrix Lestrange. And if I have to die, I want her to kill me. That's the way I want to go.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, our fearless hostess.
Oh.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Well, my story begins when I was 9 years old. So a little timeline. Harry Potter was first published in 97. That was when the first book was published in the UK. And then I think it came out in the US the following year in 98 sometime. So my mother was like pressuring me to read more. I was the first child, so my mother was the typical, mother with her first child trying to do everything perfect and make sure that, she was looking into all the research and what you're supposed to do with the kid. And so she was like, you need to read more because reading more makes you smarter. So you need to read more. And at the time, I wasn't super into reading. I was kind of like, whatever. So it had hit stateside, and within that first year, it blew up, right? Like Harry Potter, it was like, oh my gosh, this new craze, this book, all the kids are reading it, all the kids are talking about it. So my mom was like, oh, maybe this will get Tanitia to read if other kids like it. Let me go buy it. So she literally went and bought me this book. She knew nothing about it, had no idea what it was, but she just was like, let me buy this book because maybe it'll finally get Tanitia to read. So she bought me this book, and I took it and I was like, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. What kind of crap is this? And at the time, so again, I was 9 years old. I had not embraced my nerdiness yet. I was still in the nerd closet. I
still fighting against it, trying to be popular.
Yeah, trying to still be cool and one of the cool kids. I had a skateboard at the time. I thought I was going to be like a skater. That didn't happen. But yeah, so I read the back of the book, the description, and all I got out of it was wizards and magic, and I was like, nah, this is for nerds. I'm not reading it. Not reading nerds.
It. Wow, you're coming hard at 9 years old.
Yeah. I was trying to. Literally at 9 years old, I made my mother go buy me a skateboard because I was convinced I was going to be a skateboarder, and I was going to be super cool.
That was around the time I started skating, so yeah, it seems right.
Yeah, so I basically tossed this book aside, threw it up on a shelf somewhere, and it was like, I'm not reading this crap. No. And then about a year or so later, a while had passed. I think I had like gone up a grade in school or something, and we got assigned a book report project. And so we had to read one of three. So like each quarter or whatever, there would be like 3 books and you had to choose one of them and do a book report. Right. And so one of the book options was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So my mom was like, well, I'm not buying you one of the other 2 books. We already have that book. That's the book you're reading. Wow. You're just going to have to suck it up.
Your mom came hard.
And do your book report. Yeah, she came hard. So I was like, fine, I'll read this nerdy crap, whatever. And I read it in like 3 or 4 days. Which was pretty fast for me at the time, being that I wasn't that into reading.
3 or 4 days.
Put it down once you stop.
No, you can't. You can't. That's the crazy part. Like, I think I literally just put it down to go to school, and then I got home from school and like picked it back up again. And yeah.
I was like a mom and like the whole, but I was on my iPad and I would like take the iPad with me to go take Skylar to school so I could sit in the parking lot. Like, you can't put it down.
No, you can't. It's crazy. Like, I blazed through that book and then went to my mom and I was like, Mom, can you buy me the next one? And so then she bought me Chamber of Secrets. And I think at that point, only the first 3 books were out. I think it was the first 2 and the third one had come out by the time I read the second one or something like that. But I read through the second one, asked her to buy me the third, and then that's where I had to like sit and wait for the 4th book to come out, which was like agonizing. But before the 4th book came out, they had announced that the movies were going to start being made, so I was really excited to see, because at that point, I had the opposite experience from James, where it was like everything had existed in my head. I had made up how all the characters look. I had made up how Hogwarts looked in my head. Everything was just sort of in my own universe. And so they announced that they were making the movie and the movie was coming out, and I made my mom see, and this was my mom's doing. And now she rolls her eyes every time I talk about Harry Potter, but I'm like, you started this, right? You did this.
Imagine if she would have gotten one of the other books. So, how your life would have turned out.
Yeah, how different my life would have been because I wouldn't have read Harry Potter. I made her take me to go see the first movie, and I remember kind of being like, oh, that's how you say Hermione's name. Okay. And so it sort of helped. So then from that point forward, once the 4th book came out, I now had the cast and everything in my head the way it was in the movie. So I was able to kind of flesh it all out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But, obviously I had read all the books before the movies had come out. So I also had the frustration of being like, oh, they left that out, or I can't believe they didn't talk about that, or they didn't do this. But I was appreciative because I did have the experience of reading the books. And so I knew, one big example was Prisoner of Azkaban. Totally brushed over the Marauders, didn't explain who they were, didn't explain how and why the map was created, nothing. All you get is Lupin being like, oh, I know how to close this map, and you're just supposed to connect all these dots.
Yeah, that was pretty confusing, I'll say.
Yeah. And so I was like, there was a lot of heavy, like, rich stuff that was missing from the movies, but I at least appreciated that it gave me that visual, like the visual of Hogwarts, the visual of the Great Hall, all that kind of stuff was amazing. And then also I suffered a lot of disappointment and hurt when Hermione didn't look like me, because when I was reading the books, I literally was like, oh my gosh, frizzy curly hair, brown, large teeth, freckles. I was like, this is me. It's me. Yeah. It's my story. And then too, I also related a lot with the whole mudblood idea, right? So I'm biracial, I'm mixed. And so this idea of like being two different identities equally and having to toe the line between those two, and then having to prove yourself in both worlds and all that kind of stuff. Like, I connected to Hermione so hard that I was like, she's me. She's me. I made up my mind. This girl is me. Not to mention that I was a little like know-it-all smart ass in school. But
you've gotten over that, right?
Well, even knowing, who played Hermione and what she looked like in the movies, which obviously I have the internet, so whether I saw them or not, I knew. But reading the first book, I thought she was miscast.
Yeah,
I thought she was biracial.
Yeah,
like 100%. So
a lot of people had thought that she was going to look differently to what, and even J.K. Rowling actually said when they first cast Emma Watson, she said that's not how Hermione's supposed to look. And they said, too bad, this is Hollywood. We got to go with this, she's a attractive young child. And luckily, I think Emma Watson portrayed her extremely well. Like,
she did a great job.
Yeah. She had the personality down packed, definitely.
It was definitely one of those, like, huge differences from the movie to the books where I read it, the first time I read it, and I was like, oh, they cast Hermione as a different race. Okay, well, it's Hollywood.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Hollywood. It happens.
Wasn't there some kind of portrayal of Hermione, like I saw recently, something official, I don't remember what it was, that actually
Cursed
looks
Child.
like the book. Is that what it is? It's Cursed Child?
Cursed Child casts Hermione as black. So in the play, they have consistently casted Hermione as black, and there was all this controversy about, like, Hermione's not black, and J.K. Rowling came out and said, yes, she absolutely can be black. I never specified that she was white in my books. You all assumed she was white.
Yep.
And so J.K. Rowling actually had more say in the casting of the play than she did of the movies. And so in my mind, I feel like that kind of adds a little bit more to the fact that Hermione was probably a person of color and not white.
I agree.
But, Emma did a good
Hollywood.
job.
Yes,
Emma
she did a great
job.
She did great. I listen, her acting was phenomenal. She played Hermione great, like all of that kind of stuff. It was just that initial reaction of like when I watched that first trailer and saw Hermione for the first time, I was like, oh, like, oh, okay. But it was still awesome again to see Hogwarts and Diagon Alley and everything again that I had only visited in my mind, and now I got to see it on screen. And then eventually the theme parks happened, and I was able to like go in person. And let me tell you, I went to Hollywood first. I ended up eventually going to Orlando in early 2019 for the very first time, so I got to finally see Diagon Alley. But when I got to walk through at Hollywood, those Hogsmeade gates for the first time, and saw the Hogwarts Express, and then looked up and saw the castle, like, I was a blubbering mess. Like, I couldn't. I was like, and in my robes, I was like, I'm here. I get to go to school here. Like, it's happening. It was
it's awesome.
It's amazing. It's so great to kind of, I think, as when you're that hardcore of a fan of something, to start with like reading it and imagining it, and then to see it on the big screen and kind of see it brought to life, and then to get to actually walk through it is like fandom mind explosion.
Yeah, same thing. A lot of people are going through right now with Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sort of.
You know?
I mean,
well,
no one's ever heard of Batu before.
It's a new land for sure.
But there are people. I mean, I've seen them when I was there. You know, there are people who walk in and you can tell it's their first time, and just the look on their face, and they start to cry. You know, people walking off.
It's seeing the Millennium Falcon. That's what they're crying about. Because that
easily the Millennium.
That gets me almost every time.
Yeah, people walking off of Rise.
I teared up after Rise. I'm not ashamed to admit, when I got off of that ride, I was a little choked up. I couldn't believe. No spoilers, but I just couldn't believe what Disney did.
Spoil this ride. People keep trying. You know what? Actually, just side tangent. I was at the park the other day, and I just keep hearing people talk about it, like to other people. Like, have you been on it? And they're like, no. And then I'm like trying to not listen because I don't want to say anything. Every time they're like, so what's so great about it? It's like, I can't even explain it to you, man. It's just so awesome. I was like, perfect answer, because I don't want to hear anything.
It's so I'm so excited to talk to you about it when you do write it, James, because it's I can't even explain it, but Disney like way outdid themselves. Like, there's nothing even close or on par with this experience. Like, I wouldn't even say a ride. It is an experience, and there's nothing close. I can't even. Oh, it's amazing.
Well, maybe
so cool.
1 year I'll get to ride it.
It is so cool that we live like in the time that we live in, where being a part of the fandom no longer just means, you know, you get to read books, or you get to see movies, or, you know, like it's everything. We get to read the books, we get to see the movies, we get to read the fan fiction if we want. We get to deep dive into it because now there's websites dedicated to it. We get to walk through it because of the theme parks. Like, it is an amazing time to be in some of these fandoms.
We get to ramble about it on podcasts.
To ramble about it.
Yes.
People get to listen to it and be excited about it, listening to us ramble.
Yes.
Well,
yes,
I'm excited that we're starting this show because, you know, I'm excited just to keep the flames going just for me. You know, when there's not anything going on, like I said earlier, you know, our attention can kind of divert away a little bit. But, you know, I want to keep the Wicked Wizardry going all the time.
Keep the magic alive.
Yeah. I put on those movies in January. My mom was here visiting for the holiday, and I was like, well, I guess it was December, but I was like, yeah, we're doing the Year of Wicked Wizardry, so I really have to brush up on my Harry Potter. So, Mom, do you mind watching these movies? And she's like, no, I don't care. So we watched when she was here, the first 5. But not only did it get me excited about it again, but she got excited about it. Like, and she's not a Harry Potter fan, you know, but she was, you know, she just moved down here and she was like, so as soon as we're settled, can we watch the 6th one?
Oh,
you know?
Yes. I love all the new fans coming in too. Like, I feel like it's become so, I feel like Harry Potter has reached Star Wars level where it's like, it's so big that even if you are not part of the fandom or you're not in it, like, you feel like I have to know what's going on just to be part of like the pop culture conversation, like to know what's going on.
And what's interesting about that is that with other things, you would think that would kind of go away after they stop making the books and the films. I mean, I know Fantastic Beasts is still going, but generally speaking, you know, the original story has concluded. And as far as mainstream pop culture goes, I mean, obviously the films were so like huge juggernauts, but we're talking about 10 years, almost 10 years ago was the last one came out. And the fact that it's still so prevalent that I feel like, yeah, it is going to rival Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars obviously has, you know, a lot of years on it.
Yeah.
But so it's hard to really compare them exactly. But I really do feel like this is going to be timeless, and the books and the films are really just starting off points for people to explore this world. And I actually feel like there's so many more stories that could be told inside the Wizarding world that we don't even know about. You know, I mean, that was
it's been on the internet 100 times, but I'm just going to say it on this podcast, okay? Yeah. Girls don't want glass slippers and a prince. Girls want a 7-book Marauder series. Okay?
Yes! I will take it.
Well, for me, I remember one of the reasons I was so excited about Fantastic Beasts was, and it was taking place in America, was I want to see what this world is like in the United States of America, because it's really easy to pretend like oh, that's just the UK, everything's magical over there, right? I mean, that's just like so far from like
they have magical accents.
Yeah, they talk. Yeah, you know, like anything can happen there. You know, Hogwarts is in Ireland, isn't it? Right? I mean, that's literally magic. Scotland. You know, next door. I'm just saying, it's all. But I want to see the magical world in Cleveland, and not in 1920. Like, I want to see it right now in Cleveland.
It is such it's such a rich world, and there is so much that you could still do with it. You know, just like when Fantastic Beasts came out, we got the new houses. You know, everyone was just like blown away. All of a sudden, we had new things to learn, new things to read, new things to, you know, explore. And there's so much more.
Oh yeah.
So I'll take a whole thing set in France.
That's the next movie. Or no, the last movie was France.
Yeah, well, that's
the last movie was France.
So I'm actually disappointed that I heard that so much of the movie's not going to be in America, the future films. So I was like,
I know, it's disappointing.
I want it in California. I want them like hanging out on the beach. It'll be in SoCal.
I want Cleveland.
I got to the Hollywood
2020. All right. I want
to see actual witches and wizards apparating into Disneyland,
right?
And I want to see them magicking their way. Like, screw Fast Pass and Max Pass, okay? We're just apparating and popping on rides and just...
Okay, look, you know perfectly well that Disney is controlled by wizards and witches already, and just like Hogwarts, there's no way that you can apparate in and out of Disneyland.
I would believe it. If the Wizarding world was real, Walt was a wizard. Yeah. And it's just like the upper management are all magical folks, and they just sort of employ the cast members or maybe muggles that they employ that have no idea. But yeah,
I'm gonna take this conversation to a whole other level.
Okay.
So, wizards and witches, they're living in America right now, today, as part of the Wizarding world. What do they think is going on at Universal Studios? Do you think it's like a tribute to 20 years ago?
No, they don't. They think it's ridiculous. They people ask about it and they just roll their eyes. Oh my God, really?
He's muggles. I saw I don't know if it was on Reddit or if it was a meme, but it was like, one day I want to just prank somebody. Like, I want to go to Universal Studios and walk up to a kid with a wand and being like, dude, what are you doing? You're going to out us in front of all the muggle community. Oh, wait. Oh, that's not real. Oh, never mind. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And having them be like, what?
It's like, never mind. I gotta go. You never saw me.
I gotta go. You never saw me.
Well, that's interesting too. And again, I could talk about the theme parks forever. That's my favorite thing of all this. But it's like, I love that it's set on this day. It's like every day is this one day that somebody decided that Muggles are allowed to go to Hogsmeade and Hogwarts. Because that's the story.
It's like bring your Muggle to work day.
Yeah.
It's like bring your Muggle to school day. Yeah.
And And the thing I love about it mostly is the mind the spell limit sign.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because for so long I was like, what does that mean? Why is that there? Like it literally like just boggled my mind. Like I didn't understand it. And then upon research, because it was bugging me so much, I found out that it means that it's for the witches and wizards because muggles are around. So
Yeah.
that's like don't get too crazy with the spells because
the muggles are gonna see you again.
I mean, it's okay if they see them because we're literally in
Yeah.
But I mean,
we're tourists.
In fact, I'm not sure what the spell limits actually are. I think that's something I need to find
you're
out.
going to keep it to like first, second level.
Okay.
The easy stuff.
You can't cast any spells on the muggles. Like, don't do anything to the muggles. Leave them in peace.
Yeah. Make sure that all the spells are verbal spells. Don't let it out there that they're, you can do non-verbal and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're like strictly first and second year spells only. Like we don't know.
Wow. Okay. Well, again, these are just a taste of the fun that's coming up on the Wicked Wizardry. And as we wrap this up here, Roxy and I are not going to be on every episode because, as you can see, we're total. What's the word? Is there a word for people that are
muggles?
Muggles? Yeah, no. For people that are.
Did you just call me a muggle?
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find out what James is trying to call you.
God.
No, I mean, we want this show to dive deep, and clearly we're not we can't keep up on the deep dive.
You're half-bloods.
I'll take that.
Yes, that's fine. But you roll with the crew that goes deep. Your Wands Up crew, and you're going to invite some of them on the show to go on these deep dives.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I definitely want to do some episodes specific around the houses. So I have some interesting people I'd love to talk to from each of the 4 houses and have some fun convo. So that'll be exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess because we're all Slytherin here, so we're not really getting much diversity.
Yeah, that's right.
I was actually going to say earlier, well, why don't we introduce ourselves and say what house we are? But we're all Slytherin. If you can't tell, you don't know us very well.
You're all Slytherin.
Also, Pottermore confirmed. I always thought. I mean, I said I was Slytherin before then, but just to be clear, I didn't make that up. It wasn't my choice. The sorting hat sorted me.
I was told that I was Slytherin long before I knew anything about Harry Potter. And then I read it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm down with that. And then I went on Pottermore, and they said the same thing. So
there you go.
Yeah, so
that's the other thing about the Hogwarts houses I love is you can read people and tell, like, I can sort of get to know somebody for a little bit and then be like, oh, you're totally a Hufflepuff or you're totally a Gryffindor. And then it just makes so much sense.
we have this Disneyland Social Club, and our application is online, so people who want to be a part of it, they have to apply. But one of our questions on the application is, which Hogwarts house do you belong to?
Yes.
And then it's the 4, and then the 5th answer is, I have no idea what that is. And I
immediately dropped from consideration.
Heavily based my opinions of people on how they answer that question.
I have no idea what that is. That's
you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who's like, I've never heard of a Hogwarts house before.
You would not be.
Oh, really?
You would be surprised.
Wow.
Yeah.
Especially, I feel like if you're a hardcore Disney fan, not saying you have to be a hardcore Harry Potter fan, but if you're a hardcore Disney fan, I find it hard to believe that you don't have any knowledge of what's going on.
Well, I don't think it's that they don't know what Hogwarts is. A lot of them, I really believe it was just that they're not Harry Potter fans, so they don't know what house they're in, or they don't know that that's a thing to be sorted into a house as part of the fandom.
Which means they're probably Gryffindors.
Arrogant bastards.
From my experience running a Harry Potter fan social club or social group, we have so many Slytherins. We have a good chunk of Hufflepuffs, a good chunk of Ravenclaws. We are hard pressed to find fans to join our group who identify as Gryffindor.
Interesting.
And I have a theory that it is because Gryffindors tend to be the jocks. They're not into reading and books as much. I don't know. I don't know. That's my theory. I'm sure there's Gryffindors who are going to lose their minds when I say that. But
I always said that if I had to really buckle it down, that I would be a Slytherin. So,
well,
yeah.
I'm just gonna say, I always knew I was Slytherin because I knew I was drawn to them because they're all just assumed to be up to no good, but you really can't tell, and that's just really where I identify. And so that there was really never any question. I took the Pottermore test just in case anybody challenged me. No, I already knew, but just in case somebody else challenged me. And I was like, nope. I think that's literally the only thing I've done on Pottermore. So that shows you how deep I had to know. I had to know what officially house I was a part of. And so that there's no arguing there. But anyways, I'm going to stop rambling and let you wrap up this episode.
All right. Well, so we're going to be moving on, doing more character deep dives, which I'm super excited about.
Who's our first character deep dive, Tanisha?
Our first character deep dive is going to be the Malfoys. Yes. So we're going to take a little trip to Malfoy Manor. So I'm really excited. We're going to be focusing on a lot of the sort of darker side, the dark arts, some evil wizards in there and witches, some complicated witches and wizards. So hopefully, some Harry Potter fans stick along with us for the ride, but this was just meant to be an introduction and a taster, for what's to come. So yeah.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I'm excited. Thanks for having us on the show, Tanisha.
Yeah, we really appreciate you letting us be guests.
I know. Well, I decided just this one time I let it
very sweet.
Be on this creepy kingdom.
You're a good person.
You're welcome.
No, in all honesty, thank you for hosting the show. When I thought of the idea for the show, I was like, this would be a great show to do, but Tanisha's got to host it.
Yeah, this would be an awesome idea, but we can't do it.
I mean, I could make a podcast and be rambling about theme parks, but eventually people will lose interest. So steer the ship, Tanisha.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, yeah, thank you all so much. I appreciate you allowing me to explore my Harry Potter nerd side even more. I'm excited to hopefully deep dive with a lot of folks on Harry Potter because I could talk about it all day, every day, which much to the dismay of my family and my coworkers. But my friends are all Harry Potter nerds too, so that always works out.
There we go.
Yeah.
So what's the sign off for the show?
Oh, stay wicked.
This podcast has been a production of the Creepy Kingdom Podcast Network. Executive produced by James H. Carter II and Ryan Grulick. Visit creepykingdom.com to get access to all of our articles, videos, and podcasts. Join our Patreon for exclusive content. Patreon.com/creepykingdom. Until next time, this is Hannah reminding you to keep